Welcome to day 5 of this 5-day realistic reset. And if you've made it this far, really well done. I hope you found it useful. We've covered a lot in the last 4 days. Day 1, we just prepared mentally and with the practical things like shopping. Day 2, we talked about how to structure your meals, not only to support fat loss, but also to support health and to reduce decision fatigue. Day 3, we talked about calories, how many calories you need to maintain your weight, and what calorie deficit would look like. And day 4, we got back into some movement, some intentional movement with a mobility routine, a short mobility routine, and a short strength circuit. And all of these things, you can use them anytime you need to restart, you need to reset and get back on track. I thought long and hard about what to do for day 5, but I think the best thing that I can leave you with is mindset. The mindset shifts that you need to both to do a reset like this and to succeed on any fat loss journey, no matter how much weight you have to lose. It's obviously limited what you can do in 5 days. Most people will think about doing a reset as trying to lose as much weight as possible or doing a detox, right? Like detoxing and cleansing their body of all the toxins and all the crap that they ate beforehand. But that obviously hasn't been our focus. It's been more about laying the groundwork for long-term success. We've talked a little bit about mindset along the way, but I wanted to do a full episode on the mindset shifts that I see my clients make, my most successful clients make. And I want to highlight both the way I see how a lot of people think about diet and exercise that kind of messes them up and makes it really hard to get the results that they want. And also those mindset shifts that I see people make that then set them up for success in the long term. What I see in my coaching is that the nutrition and the training part of it, yes, there is a lot to learn. A lot of people think they know how to eat well, how to exercise, but actually they've got a lot of misinformation and a lot of crap that they've collected over the years that we have to kind of unlearn. And then we have to really focus on the big rocks. And there's a lot of counterintuitive stuff that people don't really know. It's really quite simple at the end of the day, but it is often quite counterintuitive. But nonetheless, it's quite simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. But the psychology side of things, the mindset side of things, that is probably 80% of what we do on the program, is focusing on people's psychology. All of the thoughts that mess you up, that make you spiral, that make you give up, and then lead to worse outcomes. So let's talk about the 9 things that I see my most successful clients do, the 9 mindset shifts that they make. Okay, so number 1, you have to accept that you are a fallible human and you have to stop trying to be a perfectionist or stop trying to be perfect. You have to let go of your perfectionism. You are not a robot. You will never be perfect. You will never eat exactly the same every day. You will never not slip up. You will never not overeat sometimes. You are going to mess up. It doesn't even need to be framed as messing up or slipping up. It's part of life and part of having a healthy relationship with food. Even if you are a super healthy person in your day-to-day life, you are still allowed to overdo it at social events, birthday, when there's just yummy food available. That is normal and that is part of a healthy relationship with food. You are not a robot who will eat exactly the same every single day. And not overeating is not a requirement to get amazing results. I got the best results of my life after having my 3rd Ronnie almost 2 years ago. And it was not because I never ever messed up. It wasn't because I said no to every fun piece of food. It wasn't because I didn't join in with my family when we had a holiday or a birthday. It's not that I didn't touch sugar or alcohol or whatever it is for those 2 years. It's just that I learned how to compartmentalize it and just enjoy the food and then just move on afterwards, which is a huge part of what we're going to talk about in this mindset section. It's actually the expectation of perfection and the all or nothing thinking that is what is not getting you results. Thinking that it has to be perfect, thinking that it has to be exactly the same every day, and you'll never veer from that perfect, like ideal meal plan, but also thinking that you need to have a perfect ideal meal plan in the first place. A simple plan that you can actually do will work 1,000 times better than the perfect plan that you can't keep up or maintain. What I see with a lot of my clients is that I will say, okay, how about you just have scrambled eggs and toast for lunch? And they'll say, oh, I can't have that because I already had eggs for breakfast, or I can't have another slice of toast today. And I'm like, why not? Because I can't eat bread twice a day. I'm like, well, what are you having instead? Because they don't have a plan or something simple that they can fall back on, because they feel like they need to chop up a really elaborate salad with 20 different ingredients that takes forever, defrost the chicken, blah, blah, blah. They then end up just eating chocolate and crisps. And I'm like, stop trying to make it perfect. Just do an okay. So many people think that they won't get results with just an okay plan by including sugar in their diet, by including bread in their diet. They think it has to be perfect to get results. But it's this, that sets up a dichotomy where you think, either I do this perfect meal plan where I never overeat, I never eat the wrong things, or just eat crap all the time. It's a false dichotomy, and you fall into the all or nothing thinking of thinking either this or that. And well, okay, this diet plan is going to get me great results, but I'm going to be miserable doing it. Whereas eating crap all the time, I'm gonna look and feel shit and carry too much weight, but at least I get to eat whatever I want all the time and I don't need to be hungry all the time. You need something in between. You need to not be hungry. You need to be able to enjoy the stuff that are just fun to eat and not have it completely take over your life. So it has to be a kind of a happy middle ground that includes a lot of the crap that you want to eat as well. This is flexible dieting. The same with the training plan. The number of people who are like, oh, I need to work out 5 times a week. And I'm like, how about you just work out once a week? And they're like, why would I work out once a week? It doesn't do anything. Yes, it fucking does. It does a fuck of a lot more than you doing nothing every week. If you spend 10 minutes exercising, that's exactly 10 minutes more than 0. And it will do so much more for your health, your fitness, your muscle mass, everything else, if you just do that 1 minute instead of doing nothing because you can't do 5 days a week. To add to that, whatever plan you have needs to be something that you can execute on your busiest, hardest day and not on your most chill one where you've got a day off of work and the kids are all at school. You have to have a fallback plan. You can always make it better. You can always chop up that salad when you have a chill day and when you have the time and the headspace to make a salad. But you need to have something that is easier to make so that you can do it when you are back-to-back work calls and you just need to grab something and carry on working. And to add to that, and to finish off this thing about perfectionism, is learn to get back on track. Stop needing a streak. Like, stop needing to feel like, oh, I've done 5 days perfectly, and then if I slip up, that's it, that's the end of it. I've done 5 weeks perfectly. If I slip up, that's the end of it. No, have the slip up. Don't even see it as a slip up. Just have the fun thing, have the break, get back on track afterwards. And that is true whether you're at maintenance, whether you're just trying to maintain your weight, or whether you've got a lot of weight to lose, or whether you're just doing a short reset. That's the biggest skill that you can learn. Okay. Number 2, stop looking for quick fixes and short-term solutions. So many people just have a sea of bad habits where they eat crap, they eat too much, they go to bed too late, they don't exercise. Then they see the diet and exercise program as a short-term thing that they do to reverse the damage, to lose the weight, to transform their bodies, to get the body of their dreams. And it's really intense. They're hungry all the time. They can't eat a ton of stuff. And then once the diet's over, they reach their goal, they go back to their old crappy habits because, again, they've set up that false dichotomy that it has to be one extreme or the other. You need to switch this paradigm and do the opposite. You need to set up really good daily habits that are just healthy habits for your day-to-day boring life. And then you take short breaks from that healthy diet and lifestyle and workout routine to have fun, to go on vacation, to celebrate the holidays, to celebrate someone's birthday. Your good habits, your healthy habits are going to span years and decades. This is what you do in your normal everyday life. This is what you do 80-90% of the time. And then you take short breaks from it to enjoy bits of food here and there, meals, days, weeks, where you're just having fun and the goal is not necessarily balance or a healthy lifestyle. So this is completely inverting that paradigm. And the same, whenever you approach a reset like this, You're not just looking to do something really intense, like a detox for 5 days and shed as much weight as possible. And then what are you going to do afterwards? Just go back to your old habits. Guess what? You're just going to go back to your old body. Even if you manage to lose 10 pounds in 5 days, if you go back to your old habits, you're just going to put the weight back on. So you have to start approaching it as, these are my long-term habits that I have most of the time. And when my kid gets sick, I take a break from it. Once everything's back on track, I get back to these good habits. Number 3, stop doing overhauls and instead focus on small incremental changes that build on each other and compound over time. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do on this reset. That's what we do on the online coaching program, is we figure out what the big rocks are, what the low-hanging fruit is, and we make small improvements. If you improve by 1% every day, that compounds over time. So if you just think, okay, my diet's a mess, I don't work out, what can I do today, next week, that is slightly better than that? Maybe I could go out for a walk. Maybe I could do a 10-minute strength session. Maybe I could just start eating meals rather than snacking all over the place. Maybe I could just start having protein a few times a day. It's just these small things that then, once you've got that under your belt, you can then make the next change. And in a year, you can completely change your body. This is the book Atomic Habits talks about this, and it's a great book that I recommend everyone read for their fat loss journey, because it's not about saying, okay, on Monday or on this day or on the 1st of January, I'm going to start this really intense training program and diet. I'm going to cut all this stuff out. I'm going to completely overhaul everything. That doesn't work. You're not going to be able to maintain that. You just want to look really clearly at what you're currently doing, be really honest about where you're currently at, and then try to make small incremental changes from there. Then you need to practice those changes over and over and over again until they become habit, and then they're more automatic and you have to think about them less, and then you can add more changes over time. And it's just an ongoing project that's going to last the rest of your life, right? If you keep approaching it that way, in a year's time, your diet, your training plan is going to be totally different. Your body's going to be totally different. And then you can keep making improvements from there. In a decade from now, it might be totally different again, but not just stopping and starting, doing something really extreme, then going back to the old crappy habits. This just keeps you stuck. Number 4, beating yourself up doesn't work. So just stop doing it. And I know this is easier said than done. But at some point you have to realize that the beating yourself up, the guilt tripping, the shame, the cycle, the cycles and the ruminating and going, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I'm never going to change. I'm so lazy. It doesn't actually keep you accountable. And you have to understand this, because I have so many clients who I say, this isn't keeping you accountable. You need to stop beating yourself up. And they'll say, but if I don't beat myself up, I will eat even worse. No, actually, the beating yourself up is just keeping you stuck in a cycle. You're really, really hard on yourself. You have really high expectations. You can't live up to those expectations. You mess up. Then you beat yourself up, and then the cycle starts all over again. This doesn't work. This just keeps you stuck and in the same place for years and decades. You need to let go of the beating yourself up. Yes, if you overeat, okay, it might not be ideal. It might not be what you planned on doing. You might have slipped up, but the beating yourself up is an extra layer that is just unnecessary. Just from a purely pragmatic standpoint, it just doesn't work. So what do you do instead? You just recognize that, okay, that didn't go to plan, move on, right? I can't change it. I can't change what I ate last week, yesterday, but what I can do is just focus on today. So many people find it so hard to get started again because they're busy beating themselves up, and then they're continuing to eat crap because they're beating themselves up and they feel like shit. So there's this weird paradox that actually, when you accept yourself the way you are and you accept your imperfection, then you are actually able to change. You can just say, okay, that's how this pattern keeps coming up for me. I keep overeating in this way. Let's try and learn from that mistake. What can I do differently? What can I do so that next time I set myself up for success, or I don't set myself up for failure? What can I do next time to put myself in a better position to eat well? What is it that keeps making me slip up? Then you can just, once you let go, the beating yourself up is just a repetition of phrases that isn't actually helping you change anything. Whereas if you start to analyze it instead and say, okay, what's really going on here? here? Why did I mess up? Why didn't it go to plan? What's getting in my way? Like, what can I learn from it and what can I do differently next time? That is when you can really start to make change. But it starts with accepting yourself as you are, and as you are is a imperfect, fallible human. Number 5, this is more of a practical one, but stop trying to endure the hunger. You don't get extra brownie points for being more hungry, but their thought goes something like, the hungrier I am, the more fat I'm gonna lose. And if I want to lose body fat, I just need to have more willpower and ignore the hunger and keep pushing through. This does not work. Hunger is a very deep instinct. You cannot override it with your cognitive mind. What happens when you get really, really hungry is your cognitive mind, the rational part of your brain, goes offline, and then the instinctual older part of your brain comes online and is just like, give me food, and then you just eat crap. So if you think that fat loss is about being hungry for days, weeks, months at a time, you are setting yourself up for failure. You actually need to manage hunger rather than endure it. You need to eat filling foods. You need to be in a calorie deficit while also making sure you are not hungry. This is the only way to lose weight long term and to keep it off. Whether you're doing a short reset, when you do a reset, don't just try to be hungry for 5 days, right? It's about eating in a way that stops you from being hungry. Also, if you get to 12 o'clock, you haven't eaten anything, and now maybe you're not hungry at breakfast, that's fine, you skip breakfast, but then you start getting hungry around. What a lot of women do is they go, am I hungry? Am I hungry enough to eat? Should I eat now? No, I'm just going to keep going for an hour or two and I'll eat when I'm hungrier. And then they get hungrier, and then they get to a point where they're too hungry. They're like a 10 out of 10 in terms of hunger. And then they make poor choices. They're like, oh, I'm starving, I need to get something. Then they make bad choices because, again, the cognitive part of their brain goes offline. What you actually want to do is when you started getting hungry, okay, so if you could eat scrambled eggs on toast with some vegetables on the side. If that seems appealing, you are hungry enough to eat. If that doesn't feel appealing, it's probably because you're not hungry at all. And highly palatable foods like chocolate, we can still eat when we're not hungry, but the whole foods are hard to eat when we are not hungry. So a rule of thumb is never get past a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of hunger. Eat as soon as you start feeling hungry enough to eat something, because then you will make rational decisions with the cognitive part of your brain, and you won't just get in my belly syndrome. Also, if you're somebody who just grazes on very small bits of food throughout the day and then every evening the wheels fall off, it's not just because you need more willpower in the evening. It's because you are underfueling yourself throughout the day. You're too hungry. You're getting home from work starving. You're hungry when you leave the office at 4, and by the time you get home at 5, you're starving hungry. Now you're just going to walk through the door and start eating your kids' chicken nuggets, pizza, chocolate, whatever's in front of you. So you want to eat earlier so that you can make better decisions around food and not be hungry. You don't want to be spending any part of your day above a 7 out of 10 in terms of hunger. This is very counterintuitive for most people, but I got in the best shape of my life and I got the leanest I've ever been in my life when I really started understanding this. Before, what I used to do is get hungry and then try and push through it, or have very small meals that didn't make me completely full and I still felt hungry afterwards, but I just told myself I just need to push through it. That got me subpar results. That kept me about 25% body fat, whereas when I really started to manage my hunger and eat for fullness and eat to fuel myself, so I wasn't thinking about food, that's when I got under 20% body fat. Okay, number 6 is it's not about willpower. 95% of this is about your lifestyle, your mood, managing hunger, and having a simple plan you can execute no matter what, because you will always fall back on the simplest option when you're stressed or tired or can't be bothered. Only the other 5% is willpower. Yes, we do need a little bit of willpower to say, no, I'm not going to eat those cookies. I'm going to make myself scrambled eggs on toast instead. This will be a better choice for me. I will feel better after I've eaten it, even though those cookies look really great right now. Yes, we do need a bit of willpower. We do sometimes need to say no. We do need to, like, right, I'll have a slice of birthday cake, but I won't have a second and a third. We do need a bit of willpower for that stuff. But If you are relying only on willpower, you will run out of it. And typically we run out of it by the end of the day or by the end of the week as we're getting more tired and more stressed. So if you set yourself up for success in terms of managing your mood, dealing with stress, reducing stress, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you've got your environment is set up for success. You've got the easy nutritional stuff that you can whip up in 3 minutes. You've got a plan. This all makes it way easier so that you don't have to rely on willpower. Number 7, very similar, stop relying on motivation. Everyone thinks that they need motivation in order to get their goals. And I just need to feel more motivated. And yes, motivation is definitely very nice to have, but it's actually, I think a lot of people confuse it with enthusiasm and excitement. Motivation doesn't stay high. So if you ever started a diet and you're really, really excited to do it in the beginning, but after a few days, you're like, fuck this shit. I really don't want to do this. I'm not in the mood. I'm just going to order in. That is what I call the valley of disappointment. Motivation is high in the beginning and it always waxes and wanes. And too many women have had that experience a million times where they feel super, super motivated and then the motivation wears off, the novelty wears off, whether it's after a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, it always wears off. And expecting it never to wear off. And all I need to do is just maintain that really high level of motivation. This is unrealistic because again, you are human. It is very normal to lose motivation as you go along. And I see everyone do it. It usually kicks in around 2 to 4 weeks into the program when someone joins my online coaching program. If you are relying on the fact that you are never going to lose motivation, that it's going to stay high, you'll never succeed because eventually you will lose motivation. And what do you do then? Again, this is what I call the valley of disappointment. And a big part of my coaching is set up to get people through this valley of disappointment and out on the other side. They're not relying on motivation. They're relying on knowing what actions and behaviors on a daily, weekly basis are going to get them the goal that they're looking for. So the way motivation works, or the way most people think motivation works, is that you have motivation and that leads you to act. So it leads to action and then that leads to results. So you feel very motivated. So you do the diet, you do the workout program, and then you get the results. It's actually the other way round. Well, success is the other way round. So what you do is you identify what the goal is and you identify what actions, what behaviors are going to get you that goal. So tracking your calories, eating filling meals, doing two workouts a week, getting 10,000 steps a day, getting to bed on time. These are the actions and behaviors that you need to do to reach your goal. Then you start getting results. You start seeing the weight come down, you start feeling your clothes fit better, you start having more energy, you start feeling better, and then you get the motivation afterwards. The motivation is the last step in this chain. Action comes first, then results, then motivation. So what we focus on doing is, yes, it's great to have some motivation in the beginning, but we need to get you away from focusing on motivation and towards focusing on those actions and habits and fallback options and go-to meals that you rinse, repeat over and over and over again. That is what is going to get you results, not that warm, fuzzy feeling of motivation. What you want to do is start thinking about motivation like a really fun but flaky friend who, when she's around, she's great, you have loads of fun, but then she ghosts you for 3 months and doesn't answer your messages and isn't there for just the day-to-day boring stuff. She's like just a good time friend. This is motivation. It's fun to have, but you cannot rely on it because it is unreliable. You have to rely on more reliable, boring things like those actions and those habits and setting your environment up for success. If those cookies and crisps are just on your work surface when you come home hungry, guess what? That's what you're going to eat. Whereas if you put them in an opaque box, in a cupboard up high, so it's a bit cumbersome to get down and you don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind, you are much less likely to eat those things. It is that kind of thing that is going to set you up for success. Setting up your environment is going to make it much easier to succeed. And all the stuff that we did on day one, setting up our environment, making sure that we have the basics in the house so that we can make those really quick meals, making that meal plan, even though it's really, really basic, just thinking about what we can make when we're tired and stressed and don't have much time and need to jump on a work call in 10 minutes. This is the sort of preparation that sets us up for success. This is what we need to focus on, and less on that fun, fuzzy feeling of motivation. Number 8 is gain control of your mind and thoughts with CBT and other tools. Most people just think that their automatic thoughts, the way they think, the way they conceptualize things, is just a given. But what I found through my coaching is that there are actually really good tools out there that help you shine a light on those cognitive distortions, on those fucked up thoughts like, oh, I've gained a pound, that's it, I've ruined everything. Oh, I'm so fat and lazy, there's nothing I'm ever going to be able to do to change. There are ways of changing those thoughts, and there are ways of thinking in a more realistic, more positive way. And it's not about bypassing positivity either. It's not about toxic positivity, about, those post-it notes on your mirror. It's about seeing things clearly and being calm and cool and collected and not spiraling or ruminating or catastrophizing. CBT is one of the main tools that I use in my coaching program, but there are lots of other ones as well. And number 9, the one I'm going to leave you with, is understand that there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. You will not succeed if you aren't willing to make any sacrifices. Sometimes I have women join my program and they're like, I really want to lose weight, but I don't want to stop eating out. Obviously you don't have to stop eating out, but I don't want to stop eating out every day. I don't want to stop drinking 10 cocktails a week. I don't want to do any planning. I don't want to track my calories. I don't want to do exercise, but I want to look like I do exercise. You can't get results this way. You do have to sacrifice some things. I've outlined a way of approaching fat loss, and what I try to do is, in all of my work, in my free resources on my online coaching program, is to show you how to make fat loss less painful, how to make it suck less. It still sucks a bit. It's still not going to be great, but you don't have to be hungry all the time. You don't have to cut out all your favorite foods. It can be more balanced and it can be more enjoyable. But you still have to make sacrifices. There are still trade-offs. There are still things that you have to give up. And likewise, the other way around, staying overweight, feeling uncomfortable, not having energy, this all sucks as well. And it's often like choosing between the pain of overeating and the pain of eating in a calorie deficit or eating at maintenance. Everyone wants the results, but nobody wants the work that comes with the results. And that is a really important thing to get your head around. If you do want to change your body and your health and anything else, you actually have to change something. You can't just keep doing the exact same things that you're already doing and think that you're going to get different results. Okay, that's it. That's the end of this reset, but it's not the end, it's just the beginning. Anytime you have a break, use this reset. You can sign up for it over and over again. You can ask me for the link, but you will always be able to sign back up for the reset and get the exact same emails again. So, in the summer, after you've gone on holiday and now the kids are back at school, you need to reset, you can use this again. After Passover or Easter or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, you can use this again to get back on track afterwards. And every time you have a big break, say like a week off, 2 weeks off, a month off, you need a bigger reset. And every time you have just a meal off, you just need a mini reset to get back on track the next day. But this ability to start again, this is a superpower. It is not about one day I'll do it perfectly and I'll never get off track. No, it's about accepting that you will get off track, you will overeat, you will mess up, and you always have the ability to just get back on track. And you just have to get better at getting back on track faster and sooner. I'm in the best shape of my life now after baby number 3, almost 2 years. She's almost 2 years old. And I've gotten off track more times than I can count. But I don't have any illusions that at some point in the future, I'm never going to eat a bit too much at Friday night dinner or at a barbecue or at my kid's birthday party or on my birthday party. I am going to overdo it, but I know how to get back to my healthy habits every single time. Like, I don't have any delay. So it's just about getting back on track faster with no drama and no guilt and no spiraling, just being really pragmatic about it. If this is the start of a longer fat loss journey for you, then in order to lose weight, you have to accept that you will not be perfect along the way. You have the ability to get back on track and stop seeing it as a break or as getting off track, and start seeing it as part of the plan, stopping to enjoy the view, and then you're continuing on your journey once the break is over. And it's about setting up those healthy habits for life. Social occasions, holidays, they will always be a part of your life. There will never come a day where you're able to just resist them completely. And you want them to be a part of your life. You want to have that balance. So you can just use this reset. Every time you get a bit off track, just use this to get back on track and continue on with your journey. If you are at maintenance and you just want to nip it in the bud, you just want to get rid of those 2 kilos that you gained over Christmas, you might have already done that in this 5-day reset. It might take you a bit longer than that, like a week or 2 or 3 to get back to where you feel your best. But if you have the ability to do this a couple of times a year, you can go overboard, gain a bit of weight, nip it in the bud for the same amount of time that you went overboard, and then carry on with maintenance. If you have a lot of weight to lose, eventually you'll get to maintenance and you'll use this exact same approach. It's not about overhauls or perfection. It's about small bits of improvement over time. If you need help, if you want to really learn all of this stuff and make a big change, then join my online coaching program or talk to me about coaching. You can book a call to talk to me to see if it's going to be a good fit. You can fill out an application form and I'll get back to you. Either way, just get started on the process. It's just about finding out more information, finding out if it's a good fit for you. As I said before, on the online coaching program, it's a very, very, very one-on-one, individualized, intensive online coaching program. We cover nutrition, training, and mindset. So I write you a nutrition plan. I help you write the meal plan that we talked about. I help you figure out exactly what to eat, what not to eat. I write you a training program. All of that is I obviously do all of that 100% personalized to you, but that is actually the kind of easy side of it. All of this mindset stuff, the psychology, this is normally the tougher bit to crack. And as well as the one-on-one coaching with me and me writing your programs, part of your membership is that you have access to the Jen Curtis Academy, which is basically a course broken up into modules on everything you need to know to succeed on this journey. And the most important parts of it are, number 1, the fundamentals of fat loss. This teaches you how fat loss works, what you need to do to lose fat, and what you don't need to do. What is misinformation? What is just from, influencers and social media and stuff that you need to unlearn. And the other major module involved in it is the mindset module. All of these sort of mindset things, we dig into them and really make a big mindset shift. This is kind of like those 2 modules, the fundamentals of fat loss and the mindset module. This is like 90% of what you need to succeed, and all the other stuff is like icing on the cake. The training side of things, the lifestyle side of things, there are other things to cover as well, but the vast majority of it is in these 2 modules, and we obviously work on that one-on-one as well.